All right, we thank you for joining us for this co-creative experience and exchange with one another. How is your exploration of the living dream unfolding for you?
Wonderful. How are you doing today, Ryok?
Delightful, ecstatic, blissed out, as you say.
Always? Are you always blissed out in your reality?
Why would I be anything other than blissed out?
Wow. And how far away are we from that?
As far away as you choose to be. Remember, it's always your doing, your choice. Your blissfulness is the result of the amount of time and energy you invest in stoking that fire. Blissfulness is a higher spiritual fire produced by your Sasahara chakra. So, how far you are from that determines, in many ways, many things. However, it is also determined by your rate of evolution. So, if somebody is more resonant with their lower chakras, they may be further away from that. If they are more resonant with their higher chakras, they may be closer to that. It's not a race because remember, there are rewards and gifts at every level of ascendancy. Your pineal gland in that way, pituitary gland, thalamus in that way, and hypothalamus, these relate to your third eye. It produces that of ecstasy
Mm,
when you
mm.
activate it. Your throat chakra, when it is fully activated in that way, produces the state of joyfulness. And your heart, when fully activated, produces that of unconditional love. So, no matter what level you're at, as long as you're ascending, you're going to be tuning in to these higher vibrational states, bliss being the highest. Now, there are levels, of course, beyond it, but you just don't have language to describe those kinds of states. But nevertheless, they do exist.
Yes, and I've experienced many of them. I grew up in a very spiritual family, dysfunctional but spiritual at the same time, which is kind of funny. But so I grew up knowing that we were made up of love and energy, and so that was very much a part of my life. And I believe that that's why all these experiences were able to happen for me because I'd, open chakras. I'm a therapist as well, so when all these magical things were happening to me, starting in like 2009, 2011. I was like, how could I ever experience being depressed? I mean, I could never possibly experience anything like that ever again because I was in such a high place. Like, just these magical things were happening to me back to back. And it was just like I was on cloud nine. And then 12 years to really, figure or think about these things. Okay, so I want to start with the Maya star. There's a being that I'm connected to from the Maya star. She came through in like 2015, 2016, just shortly when I had a session with Daniel Scranton. And he told me to ask her where's she from, and she said the Maya Star. And then that was pretty much the end of it. Is this another aspect of myself? Is this the being that showed up and woke me up out of my sleep? Like
Yes, yes. This is the same
it
being.
is?
It is a
Okay, I
higher
thought
dimensional aspect of you. You could say the two of you are connected through what is an oversoul link. So it's not
okay,
that you necessarily share the same soul, it's that your
right,
two souls are cut from the same original cloth.
right. Awesome. So you're saying so the woman from the Maya Star is also the one that woke me up then. The other
Correct. That is what
Oh,
we are
cool.
verifying for you here. Yes.
Awesome. And Ardif told me that I'm part of the Essassani race. So are you aware of who I'm connected to?
Well, again, your oversoul
Yeah.
is connected to our species through a soulful incarnation into our species. And in that way, you are connected to us. However, there is also a more intimate form of connection that is the genetic connection, for your DNA has been used in the production of hybrid species and bodies. So your
Yes.
DNA has made its way into my people through that program. So you have both a simultaneously occurring incarnation as well as a DNA link to my people.
So how
So,
many babies do I have?
well, saying it that way makes things perhaps a little more challenging to answer. So we'll phrase it like
Okay.
this. There are about 90 hybrid children and hybrid beings put together that we're aware of that share some percentage of your DNA. Some
Wow.
of them, it's just a little bit. Some of them,
Yeah.
it's one of the primary forms. Those are the ones that you would consider to be your hybrid children, if you will, the ones that are more so made of your genetic essence. In terms of simultaneously occurring parallel incarnations within my society, one moment, 12 that we are able to observe. Yes.
Wow. And so the best way to connect with them would it be just meditating, right? Because I've been meditating every
Well,
morning.
Meditation is, no offense, a loaded word. It can mean anything. Are you astral projecting? Are you visualizing? Are you doing Zen meditation? Are you doing breathing
Breathing
meditation? Are you
work.
doing
Yeah.
feeling meditation? So meditations come to mean essentially nothing. So
Okay.
we're not saying you're doing nothing, but we're just letting you know. When you say, is my meditation enough? You must get more specific with us if you do not mind. What
No.
exactly are you doing? What is your process, your practice?
I do breathing, techniques where I'm just breathing really good.
All
And
right.
I usually do a dispense meditation.
Okay.
It's space meditation, just bring really getting really present. Um, I know you also last time I spoke with you, Ryok, you told me about the shapeshifter that woke me up. You told me that, I could go into meditation and I could visualize the sphere that I saw come out, and then I can jump into that. And I plan on doing that. I haven't done that yet, but I plan on doing that. Um, so yeah, there's a mantis being that woke me up. This is right after I spoke to MUFON and shared my story with them a couple years ago. I This was right after I spoke to them. So I'm curious if this has anything to do with this mantis being. I think it was a mantis being that woke me up. I fell asleep on my chair at my desk, and I woke up and I saw this one really big swish eye. I'm pretty sure it was a mantis being. I saw it and then I fell back asleep. Can you connect with that energy?
Sure, sure. One moment. Hold the experience in your heart.
Yes.
Become calm. Become
Okay.
relaxed. Become still. This one's not a mantis being. We'll scan deeper. Extra dimensional. One moment. You would consider it to be, to use your native terms, a kachina. This is an interdimensional being rather than an extra dimensional being. So extra dimensionals exist within dimensional planes and spaces that are considered to be extra to your physical reality. An interdimensional being exists in between those realities. They exist within the scaffolding itself that organizes these different dimensions.
So
So
it's a physical being?
this is a non-physical being. It can appear physical if desired.
Okay, I'm still trying to understand what you meant by internal or external and an internal
You're thinking
dimensional.
about it perhaps too literally. When we say interdimensional, we don't mean inside of you.
Okay.
We mean it exists in the space between dimensions that
Oh,
act as the scaffolding spaces that the dimensions rest upon. So you're familiar with a brick wall, yes?
yes.
Each brick's a dimension. That white outline that is the adhesive that holds the brick together, think of that as the space between the dimensions. That's where this being is from. That's what we're saying.
Very interesting. And what made that being come and visit me? Do you know?
Well, you were putting out a certain frequency that was quite attractive to it.
Interesting.
Remember, there are many ancient tales of extra dimensionals being attracted to the women of Earth. You've heard of
Yeah.
this?
Yes.
Yes, it's true. It's very true. So this being was attracted to you in multiple ways. This being knows your soul from previous incarnations within shamanic cultures. So this being appeared to reveal the energies of remembrance to you. You caught a glimpse of its eye, you had said. Was that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Just its
Yes.
eye. Yeah.
Yes. That was intentional. So you focus on your eye.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, that makes me feel a lot better because I've always said I really have no desire to meet any insectoid beings because they always love biting me. Bugs are always they just love to bite me here.
Well, your blood is somewhat pleasing to them. Gives off a type of fragrance that in the insect kingdom is somewhat desirable. So they won't bite you forever. When a person's getting bit by bugs, usually it is a symbol that means they're either contending with a bunch of annoying instances and experiences in their life, or it's a sign they need to cleanse. So the bugs are coming to actually pull toxin out.
Interesting. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome if they could pull some toxins out of me.
Well,
Yeah.
perhaps you may reconsider your perspective on the insectoid.
Yes. Yes, that'd probably be a good idea to do. I have another this is interesting, and I didn't hear about this until Bashar actually talked about it, but My whole life, I didn't have this memory. I don't know. There's a big truck, a garbage truck, right at this moment. I hope it's not too distracting behind me for you.
That's fine. We are
Okay.
oblivious to its existence.
Sweet. So as a kid, I have this remembrance that I used to astral travel all the time, like fly. And it would always happen in my grandpa and grandma's backyard because it was a really long, big backyard. And I could get a running start. And I mean, I would say like 5 times a night I was astral flying, traveling. And but this memory, Ryok, didn't come back to me until after my first awakening experience with my client. Having that love beaming through every cell of my being, and then the telepathic communication from his father, who had passed away. It wasn't until all these experiences started happening to me that I had this memory of my childhood. Isn't that interesting? Like, what? Why do you think that is?
Because it was a high vibrational spiritual memory. And if you remembered it sooner, it would activate your capabilities and powers ahead of time. So you
Mm.
remembering it at the date and time that you did is reflective of you reclaiming that ability in an appropriate context as to complement your life rather than to detriment it.
And does this have anything to do with another aspect of my soul that is an avian being?
Sure. There's a connection to that. Yes. Yes. Many people will possess a higher self that will use some type of angelic or avianistic form. So, sure, sure, there's a connection there. There's also a connection to lifetimes within avian culture. So, there's more than just a symbolic reference here. There is a literal reference. Your incarnational trajectory is a little different than that of many people on your planet. So, you have incarnated into reptilian empires, and
Mhm.
you have incarnated into factions of those empires that chose to evolve to their next form, a type of avian form. So you have incarnations within both the reptilian domains and the avian domains. This is, in many ways, connected to a variety of different extraterrestrial lifetimes, ranging from Cygnus to Draco and beyond.
Interesting. Yeah, and I love orcas. I had this connection with orcas just watching people's videos on YouTube over the last like 7 years. Feel this very strong connection. I would love to swim with orcas, and I believe they're from the series A or B too, aren't they?
Correct. Yes, that is where their DNA originated from. And believe us when we say the types of cetaceans that exist within the system of Sirius are like amplified, bigger, more psychically potent versions of the cetaceous creatures that you have on Earth.
Oh,
Think
I'm
of a
sure.
whale the size of an island.
Wow.
They are quite potent, quite ancient, incredibly psychic. Even
Wow.
speaking of them now begins to open doors to their mind.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel that too as well. How much do you think that my 4 planets in Aries have to do with all these connections that I have with all these different beings and races?
Well, we'll describe it in the following way. The four planets that you possess in Aries act as a type of energizing source of potency and power. So, with the theme of Aries, what you are working with here is the energizing of the personality, the character, and the ego structure. So, some people on your planet, as you know, they have a rather weak and docile character, yes?
Yes.
And as a result, their life is a consequence of such a character. You, on the other hand, have a very vibrant, animated, living, expressive character,
Mm,
ensuring that your character cannot be forgotten. Yes, history remembers the bold, it forgets the weak. Yeah.
interesting.
Yes,
Interesting. And do you guys have astrology in your world?
we do. Yes, for us, it is less documented and is more experienced and lived. So your astrology wheels are very useful because your psychic telepathic links to the planets and stars are somewhat limited. So the charts, the wheels, the readings, all these help you to understand what types of psychic messages and influences and energies are coming from those planets and those stars in relationship to Earth. Because of our telepathic link, we have a very powerful psychic connection, not just with Essassani, but our star, Sha, and the many other planets that are a part of our solar system. So when we wonder, oh, what's the astrological forecast today? All we have to do is listen. We
Mm.
feel it, we sense it in real time. So in our ancient culture, this was physically documented. But as we began to internalize our physicality and transformed it into spirit, our esoteric tools also became transformed through that alchemical process.
And so you guys are quasi-physical, right? And do you
Correct.
guys have experienced sexuality in your society?
We have sexuality, yes, we still have sexual organs. We don't use them in the same way that all of you do, but we absolutely use their power to create psychic sexual utopias and blendings that
Mm,
allow for very potent high vibrational souls to be brought into our collective. So
wonderful.
we still get it on, as you say, just in a bit of a different way.
Right. And so that's how you guys bring your babies into the world, into your world still.
Correct. We, in many ways, pull the sexual energy from our reproductive organs into our chakras one by one by one, and we expand them. Yes, creating a high vibrational bubble. And
Mm.
once we have done that for ourselves, we do it for our lovers. They do it to us. And in that
Mm.
way, we're charging and amplifying it. It's like we're getting pulled closer and closer and closer together until energetically we overlap with one another in the center of this collective bubble we have formed. And our souls, our spirits essentially make love in the deepest of ways, in a manner that is more carnal than what you have in your physical reality, but is completely non physical.
Wow.
You know, that may sound
Completely.
like a paradox, but that's the nature
Yeah.
of the interaction. And then our energy bodies, once the orgasmic emissions are completed, our energy bodies are then pulled back into our quasi physical forms. But that energy sphere remains. A new consciousness can incarnate into it,
Wow.
or it can become its own energetic thought form that we direct for various purposes.
Wow. That is so amazing. That's so interesting.
Oh, yes.
I I've had so many sessions with people and, Ardif and Treb and, my life was saved from a car accident, that I should have slammed into this car and probably we would have passed. Um, who do you think, who are these? These are my guides, right? Obviously talking to
You
me.
call them guides, but that, of course, is an umbrella term. We'll get more specific. You are divinely protected by angels.
Wow.
Yes. Angelic legions, armies of them.
Wow.
We're not exaggerating at all.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe you.
Yes. Yes. So they
Yeah.
ensure you remain here until you choose to go. Yes.
Yeah. Also, one time I was driving and I was told telepathically to take a photo of the sky. And so I didn't see anything, but I took the photo and all these craft are in the photo. And another time I was walking my fur baby at the park and again was told telepathically to take a photo of the sky and this boomerang looking craft is in the sky. Now, was this just these beings and these craft that wanted me to take a photo of them? And they knew that I was open to doing that? Or was there a deeper reason behind it? Do you know?
You were targeted because they knew you would notice, you'd actually listen. They might send that telepathic pulse to others, but they might not even feel it. So they felt your vibration. They were able to detect it both with their minds and their technologies. And from there, they put out the call to see if you'd respond. Now, it wasn't just to show you something neat, it was to form a relationship. They
Interesting.
desire communication, they desire contact, they desire invocation so they
Me
can
too.
become part of your collective experience.
Me too. So how do we make this happen?
Learn how to invoke beings, learn the art of invocation, learn how to channel them, learn how to express their will in your life, and it will strengthen your will as a result. So, this is where
We'll have
it's
to,
perhaps time to learn some new techniques to help
yes.
you create these very specific effects. Remember, cookie cutter techniques will create very nice cookies, but perhaps they will not deliver the specificity that your soul craves.
Yes. Well, we'll have to do a session then, a challenge session with that then, right?
Sure. We would be happy to. We can train you in those areas, as can the channel. So if you're looking
Wonderful.
to open that door, we can
Yeah.
assist you in not just opening it, but keeping it
Connect.
propped open for all of eternity, if you will.
Yes, of course, I do wish. That'd be wonderful. Well, I'm glad to hear it wasn't a mantis being. So you said it wasn't a physical being, but it showed me a physicality. Um, was there, do you know if there was a reason? Well, you just said that it was interested in me because it was attracted to me. So that was probably, I mean, I'm just like trying to figure out like who do I connect with? Because I feel like there's so many of them.
Whoever the hell you want, as you say on your plan. You're in
Okay.
control. Remember, you're the magus. You're the priestess. You're not at the whim of these beings.
Yeah.
You choose which one arouses you the most, which one excites you the most, which one stimulates you the most. Pick that one. Yes,
Yeah.
you're in control. You drive the ship. Yes,
I just have to learn how to drive that ship then, right?
exactly. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely be doing that hopefully very soon then, because I'm ready. I have been ready. I just haven't done it, but I have been ready for quite some years now.
Yeah. And you will be able to with great skill. Keep that in mind. All the trainings you've done, all of the knowledge you've gained, all of that will be put to use as you open that door. Because remember, these beings, when they are seeking those who will channel them, or when they are seeking those who will invoke them, they are seeking those who are capable. They don't want the average Joe. They could care less about that person. It's not that they're cold to them, but there's no grounds for communication to take place. They are, you could say, even hungry for contact with those who have refined themselves, like attracts like in that way.
Mm,
So
yeah.
they have sought you out because of not just the skills you possess or the knowledge you possess, but also because of who you are and the path you have committed yourself to.
Well, I'm definitely ready to take that next step, and I would love for that to have that experience and guidance with you, Ryok.
We're happy to assist you in that way and to provide it. So we'll explore this more in a perhaps future conversation. If there's questions you have now about that, we can get into it, or really whatever it is that's going to assist you in your living dream. We are happy to discuss.
Sure, I would love to. I mean, yeah, if you want to do that now, that would be wonderful.
We do only that which is thoroughly exciting. So, with that being said, if that topic is thoroughly exciting for you, we'll open the door.
Yes, very. It's the most exciting.
All right. So, first thing to keep in mind is in order to channel higher dimensional beings, you yourself must become one. This means letting go of the lower vibrational things that keep you bound to your past. So, look at the things in your life that you're doing that are, in a sense, like living ghosts. What are the things that you can exercise from your space, if you will? What are the things you can exercise from your life? Cast those ghosts of the past into the light so they can finally find peace. So do a thorough inventory. What's depleting you? What's taking away? What's a waste of time? And begin to let those things go.
I have
Remember,
started actually. Mm,
excellent, excellent.
yeah.
From here, the idea is to perform some type of healing love meditation regularly. We recommend the Taoist inner smile technique taught by Grandmaster Montauk Chia. Specifically, this is the specific energy healing technique that we recommend above all others on your planet. No other technique produces what this one produces.
Okay.
This is the technique to regularly practice. This is where you get in touch with your organs, your bones, your glands, the very physical essence of your body, and you charge it like a crystal battery with your love, with your devotion, with your praise, with your glory. And your body holds that energy and makes more of it. And it starts to transform everything within and without over time. As you let go of that which no longer serves and cultivate that which does, you will over time become a vibratory match for whatever the being is you wish to channel. In terms of where to go from there, we'll save that for the training, but that's the minimum. The other thing we would advise is create for yourself very crystal clear reasons as to why you want to channel, what's drawn you to this world, what has drawn you to that role. Create crystal clear visions for what this channeling path is designed to bring you. What is its long-term trajectory? Who are you channeling for? What are the themes of the channeling? What is the service that the channeling is providing? What is the area that it's helping people with? Start to get clear on those things, because the more you sculpt a vision for that path, the more that path will come to life for you. If you're wishy-washy, if it's
Yeah.
just for you and not for anyone else, oh, I'm going to channel but keep to myself,
No.
not much is going to happen.
No, yeah, it's definitely for to share it with the world like you do. You know, the energy is just wonderful. I resonate deeply with your energy. And yeah,
We thank you for that. We resonate quite nicely with yours as well. It's a
mhm,
wonderful co-creation that we are giving rise to in that sense.
thank you. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, I had a question about, the loud sounds that people are hearing around the world, like
sure,
loud coming
sure.
from the skies. It
Yes.
sounds like there's like a planet-sized craft, like just trying to squeeze through some metal or hole or something. Like, what are those sounds? Do you
It's
know?
largely due to construction that's taking place within the earth. In many of these locations, there are underground constructions being erected. And
Yeah.
as that sound travels upwardly, it's reflected or echoed back down from your atmosphere, and it makes it sound like it's coming from the sky, but it's actually coming from within the earth. In addition to this, there are actual shiftings that are taking place structurally within your earth as your earth changes.
Mm,
And these sounds are also echoed back to you by the powers, the densities of your atmosphere. In some instances, it's the result of a collective shifting process. So usually the shifting from one parallel reality to another is very individualized.
yes.
However, because your species is becoming more collective in terms of your experience of consciousness, what's happening is, instead of individual shiftings, it's now group shiftings. And those group shiftings can be so potent that when it takes place, it's like the collective reality itself shifts. And
Hmm.
sometimes it can produce a psychic sound that can densify into physicality. Because think of the potency of that. Yes, the energies of your locations have been rather fixed. New York has been New York. LA has been LA. Tokyo has been Tokyo. Yes, they all have their own sort of nature. Yes, their own
Yes.
energy, their own vibe, as you say. Well, now the communities that make them up are so entangled that as they shift, it's like the very essence of that location is shifting. And that's a
Mm.
big type of shift. It can produce a psychic sound that's projected physically as a result.
So unto us, it's our consciousness making these sounds
In
through the
some
shift.
instances, yes. Remember, in other instances, it's your Earth. In other instances, it is either man made or humanoid made underground constructions. Those are the three major sources of those phenomena.
Now I know that we can only see 1% of the spectrum of light, but I know that there's reality and beings all around us, right?
Correct.
In a slightly higher frequency than we are in.
Yes.
So when somebody becomes more aware of their inner soul or inner multidimensional self, they start to be able to see these spectrums of light much more clearer than the average eyeball, right?
Correct.
Do you know if night vision goggles or anything infrared or anything like that would help us see these beings?
Sure. Infrared specifically.
Infrared.
Yes. Yes. Night vision that uses red light instead of green will also do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Be
And I
aware, though, you may see at first darker entities because you associate red psychologically with hell and with
okay.
the root chakra. So just be aware, you may see more into the shadow with the red light.
Now, are you aware of the aliens arriving in the backyard of some home in Las Vegas? Are you aware of that?
Sure. Yes, we are
Okay.
aware of this story that has been shared around your planet recently.
Mhm. Now,
Yes.
these races, these beings are obviously already here. I mean, why did that happen? For a reason
To
because
bring
people were open
awareness,
minded. Okay.
to bring awareness to their presence.
Yes, that's
They
what I
have
thought.
to reveal themselves somehow,
Right.
and
And
they're
so even
learning. Their culture's different. They don't necessarily understand that someone's backyard is their private property. For them, it's a part of nature. So they're learning. They're advanced in many ways, but you must keep in mind in terms of your Earth culture, they're like
Yeah.
foreigners or children. They don't know the customs. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And are these part of the elemental beings or
These are extraterrestrial beings. So no, they're not elemental. They're beyond that realm.
but I thought that the first race, well, that wasn't really a collective contact, but the Yael or one of you hybrid races will be the first to make open contact with us, right?
Well, we'll be one of the firsts, yes, in terms of grouping us with the other hybrids. Yes, the hybrids will be some of the first. We already are making contact with you. Our ships
Right.
are commonly seen in your skies. People
Yeah.
regularly dream with us. So that's happening right now. The Pleiadians are the other group because they're incredibly human like. And in many ways, they represent the higher expressions of your culture and values as individuals.
Hmm.
So they are likely the ones who will be making open contact first. Now, when we talk about open contact, we don't mean beings appearing in someone's backyard. That's still rather private and intimate. We are
Right.
talking about extraterrestrials being interviewed by
Yeah.
your mainstream media. We are
Mhm.
talking about extraterrestrials projecting themselves down into your city streets in front of thousands of people. When we're talking about open contact, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's
Can't wait.
undeniable at that level. So these smaller versions of it, these are designed to get your species ready for those bigger
Oh,
forms of contact. And of course, your international boundaries will be respected in reasonable ways. For we understand projecting ourselves into your city streets could, in some eyes, be a declaration of war or invasion. However, it will
oh.
be very different by the time we get to that point.
I want it now. I want it 10 years ago.
Well, you say that, but you don't necessarily know fully what you're saying. If you were to experience us in our fullness now, we are not exaggerating. It would be like a DMT trip that you would have trouble waking up from.
Really?
You would be
Okay.
in essentially a psychedelic projective state. It would cause your dreaming mind to flip its position. Right now, your dreaming mind's in the back, waking mind's in the front. When you're with us, that flips.
Interesting.
And it can be so disorienting that some people don't know how to guide themselves back. It's like
Well,
when you
see,
wake up in a dream, but everything's a little crazy, chaotic, you don't know how to get out of it. It can be like that. So we work very slowly, especially
right.
because your species is so compulsed towards hastiness and speed.
I
Gotta make
know.
the next invention. Gotta get all my questions answered. Gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this, gotta do that. And it
Yeah.
causes many of you much more dysfunction than you realize. So with contact, we are seductive. We are
Yes.
intentionally slow. We
Right.
intentionally delay gratification. We intentionally draw things out because that is what causes your species to once more appreciate the sensual powers of your own consciousness and of Earth. All of life can be like that if you wish.
Yeah. And when I saw when that being woke me up, I was just shocked. I mean, I didn't think that I would ever have face to face interactions with a being like that. Now, I at that point I had learned so much about extraterrestrial beings and these connections that I had had, but it was still very alien filling. It was still very like, oh my god, like, I mean, why did this? Maybe you can answer this. Why did my mind? So when I saw this being, she woke me up with this symbol in my inner ear, and when I opened my eyes, I saw her standing there. Why did my mind? What part of my mind told me that my eyes were playing tricks on me? That I wasn't really seeing her. What was that? What why did
It's
my mind
the
tell me that?
it's the rational dimension of your ego. Yes. Yes.
Huh.
Which is based on logic, it's based on facts, it's based on scientific understanding and evidence. So there's nothing wrong with that part of you. Remember, that's the part of you that keeps you from being tricked by con artists, yes, and people that make
Yeah,
wild claims that have no backing. So that
right.
part of you is useful, it's sane, but it's overdeveloped in your Western culture.
Okay.
So when you see something spiritual, sometimes that part of you will turn on. But as you know, the spirit world is just as real and arguably more real than the physical.
Oh,
So when those
definitely.
things show up, you already know what the truth is. So you can validate that and just let those analytical thoughts sort of go to the wayside. Or if you wish, study the nature of the phenomenon. The purpose of high magic is to understand the symbolism and underlying meanings behind all phenomenon and to understand how all phenomenon are connected. So if you want your rational mind, your logical, analytical mind to serve your spiritual pursuits,
Mm,
study the Kabbalah, study the Tree of Life,
mm,
study the significance of correspondence.
okay.
Learn these things inside and out, and your rational mind, instead of dismissing spiritual situations, will instead be put to use to help you connect the dots so you can find the answers to the very questions you're asking us. That's the power that the study of the Kabbalah grants if you study it thoroughly.
I
We are
actually
talking
printed
about
that out.
the magical Kabbalah
Oh, yeah.
specifically. Yes,
Right.
not the religious Kabbalah, the magical Kabbalah.
Okay. Yeah, I believe I printed that book out quite a few years ago. I just haven't read it, but yeah, it attracted. I was attracted or appealed to it in some sort of way.
Sure. There's many books on the Tree of Life. So
Tree of
there's
Life.
many to look into. Yes. Many books on Kabbalah. So you have many authors to choose from. An excellent one is Simplified Kabbalah Magic by Ted Andrews. This is a good starting
Okay, I'll definitely pick that up and look at that.
point.
So when's the going to be the first time that we get to go? So I was pulled onto that astral on that onto that craft. I went to sleep and didn't even know what astral travel was, and then was pulled onto this craft with these three beings. And I turned my to the right, and I saw this huge explosion, and then this mothership appeared, and it was so amazing. I got goosebumps on my arms. Went to look down and rub them, and boom, I was back in my bed, and it was amazing. But when will we be able to actually go onto a craft like this? Even though that
Well,
felt
it's
very
gonna
real.
take some time. Are you referring to the actual physical act of boarding the craft, flying
Yes,
around? Things-
yes.
You'll get there. It's gonna be about 10 years minimum, though. You have to
Oh,
adapt. You have to adapt. Otherwise, it could kill a person if they travel and they're not ready. The type of traveling we do, it's not like getting into a car. It's not like getting into an airplane. It's not even like getting into one of your rockets and launching into space. It's completely different. It is a completely different system of physics. You don't really have expressions of it on Earth. You
yeah,
only have
yeah,
spiritual versions of it when you astral travel at night. But
uh,
imagine the astral traveling not being this thing that happens in meditation when you're asleep, but imagine that same doorway opens up while you're awake. And again, it's like you're awake and dreaming at the same time, and you're skipping frames. So we have described reality as an illusion that is
yeah.
similar to a moving image that is created through the flipping of pages, and each page has a slightly different version of that image. So when you flip them all together, you get the illusion of movement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Sure. So with this traveling, you're skipping pages. Sometimes you're skipping books. Yes, if one
Wow.
of those images is one book being flipped, this traveling is like having to go 7 books in advance into that series of books. So
Okay.
you have to be ready for that kind of experience. Astrally, you can handle it because you're multidimensionally active and potent on the astral plane.
Yeah.
Physically, you're more oriented towards Earth and a more linear experience of things. So as you get more non-linear, such things will become available. So a minimum of 10 years. It might take longer for some of you. That doesn't mean ETs and other beings won't be able to visit. They'll absolutely be able to visit. But
Yeah.
to physically get a ride in the craft, it will take perhaps a little bit longer for most people. Now, there are certain exceptions to this. There
Mm,
are beings that are very physical, they're less quasi physical. These beings have technologies that they have
mm.
used before to assist members of your species in actually experiencing flight. So this has occurred. There are some beings that offer this. They're usually connected to your planet Venus.
Okay.
With that being said, it's rare they contact people. They're very selective, very,
Mm,
very selective. So when
mhm.
we talk about this type of on the craft experience for the collective, it's at
Yeah.
least 10 years away.
Okay. And what does your guys' craft look like? Is it triangle?
Many of them are, yes, not all of them. Our larger crafts are cigar shaped, elongated in that way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the
And you guys have
higher members of my society that
uh,
have evolved into the realms of light now utilize what you would consider to be spiraling Merkaba as their craft. And it's really just an extension of their energy body. So there are
Wow.
members of my society that have reached that level of total de-densification. Many of us choose to remain in the quasi-physical state so we can continue these relationships with all of you and the other
Oh,
species we work with. Those
thank
that have
you.
ascended that fully, well, they're moving on to other things, and they now represent that leading edge. So they help us to see what awaits us in the future.
That Maya being that woke me up in the middle of the night like that, um, I don't understand how I knew that her hair was like to her shoulders, but yet I hadn't seen her face. Is there a reason why her face was hidden from me?
Because you're meant to discover it through
Okay.
conscious relationship.
It's amazing to me that she was able to be this, standing quasi physical, I would say, person, and then change into the sphere. And then the sphere got small and elongated. Like I saw the color of like fire, kind of, when it
Yes.
elongated.
You can do the exact same thing. She's just been at it for a lot longer. That's all.
Wow.
You can do the same thing. And oftentimes you do. You just don't know you're doing it because you're usually fast asleep.
Right. Yeah, I have some pretty deep, amazing dreams.
More
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah,
And of
definitely.
course, there's the one you're living right now.
Right. I know, which is, yeah, I would love to wake up from this one.
Sure, sure. We would
I really
recommend
do.
become lucid in the dream.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wake up in the dream instead of waking up from it. You will
Right.
wake up from it, that's guaranteed, but wake up within it. It's more fun that way. And then you'll
And
be
how
ready to wake up from it. And your dream will become a living part of your spirit life. If you treat your dream, that is this life, lucidly, it will become an immortalized part of you that your soul, that your spirit will never forget. And it will
mm,
draw upon these experiences infinitely to grow and evolve itself in new ways.
mm, exciting times.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to start.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And remember, the keys are in the ignition. The engine is running. All you must do, gently put your foot on that gas pedal, and things will take off.
Well, I'm glad that I have you to guide me, though. I need you to guide me on how to do that.
We're happy to do it. We'll be in the passenger seat if you wish. We don't mind.
Yes, that'd be wonderful. I love that.
Is there anything else for you this day before we finish the call together?
I think that I mean, I'm sure I could come up with other, like Art have said that there was I had another aspect in his race as well, and then I had connections to Series A, B, and C beings. But I mean, that will be part of the sessions that I have with you with the channeling, I'm sure.
Sure, sure. We'll
Yeah.
get into that then.
Right.
We thank you for this delightful interaction and co creative experience. It has been so delightful to engage with our species gratitude, appreciation, and of course, unconditional love to you, to the special people that you hold in your heart, and to all of your earth.
You as well. Have a beautiful moment, Ryok.
Thank you. Good day.
Good day.